And we have in our Lagos studio the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Job Creation and Youth Empowerment, Afolabi Imoukhuede. You're welcome to the program, Afolabi.
Thank you very much.
Afolabi, what is actually the state of affairs of the implementation of this program?
Well, thank you very much for having me tonight. I think our beneficiaries have said it all. From the stories, I was listening intently and obviously also taking some notes. From the stories we've seen from Kebbi, from Bayelsa, from the state of Osun, and I think also from Gombe State. I think the beneficiaries have said it all in terms of what really the program is doing, the impact the program is making in their lives. Like you rightly stated, the National Social Investment Program is a cardinal program of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration because of his love for people and the love for Nigerians, especially those who have over time been neglected, which is really the poor, the vulnerable, the youth unemployed, and those, the market women and artisans who over the years, like you heard from one of those you interviewed, the National Council for Women Society, a lot of this category of people over the years have been neglected in the formal economy or in our planning. And so this is why when you look at the social investment, this perhaps is arguably the most ambitious in our recent history, 500 billion that is appropriated every year since the first one, which was in 2016, and then in 2017. And of course, the President has submitted the same proposal to the National Assembly for the 2018 appropriation. So really, I think they've really said it all. Whether it's Empower, that's across country, or it's the JEEP program, which is the loans to market women, traders, and artisans, which is also across all the states at the moment, or it's the conditional cash transfer, which is active right now in 20 states, and we're about to roll up to scale up in other states, or is this national homegrown school feeding that is also active in about 22 states, and they're adding up a few other states. I think the impact is there for us to see.
Okay, from your explanation, it does mean that not all the states are being covered at the moment. Perhaps we're moving from one state to the other. You may have to explain that much later. But taking into account the fact that there are failures recorded by other administrations on poverty alleviation programs, what are you doing differently this time around?
That's a very good question. So yes, what we've done differently this time around is that we've engaged every of our stakeholders across the 3 tiers of government. Primarily, we are federal, and then we've engaged our state actors in the state and also the local government. One of the things I must say to you, before in the early days of our kickoff, we actually engaged the governors actively, both through the Governors Forum and also through the National Economic Council, and we've continuously given periodic reports back to the governors through the National Economic Council, which you also know the Vice President chairs the NEC. So the active involvement of our state partners has been one of our critical success factors. And why is that so important? Let's understand that we are intervening in the public primary schools, which is under the, the states control that. We intervene in the public primary health centers under Empower. Again, that's under the remit of the states and local government. And when you also look at the schools where we also feed the children, primary 1 to 3, those are also states, those are also schools that are under the remit of the state. So what we've done actively is actually engage the states. And one of the things the state governors did was to appoint for us what we call the focal persons, who are literally our liaison officers on ground, who liaise between the state and us, the federal. When you look at the case with Gombe, for example, Ajia Miriam that you had interviewed, she's a focal person for Gombe State. She is appointed by the governor, but then the collaboration we have is so effective you know, that we really do not look at it, you know, on partisan lines, but we're able to look at it primarily from the fact that the beneficiaries are Nigerians. These are our brothers and sisters, and we must reach out to them regardless of what, you know, what party is in power in the state.
Well spoken, but that this aspect of keying into the program by state governments, especially the state governments that are not run by APC, what kind of collaboration are you getting from non-APC states in this program?
I think your report also captures that. Gombe State, which you did you know, quite a bit of feature on, it's not an APC controlled state. It's a PDP state. Bayelsa State, which you also featured, is also not an APC controlled state. It's a PDP state. So I think what is key is that this program is designed for Nigerians, and the benefit, the impact, as you also saw, it's not, you know, it's devoid of party. The focus of eradicating poverty, the focus of enhancing the employability status of Nigerian youth, the focus of targeting the very poor and the vulnerable, the poor of the poorest and the vulnerable. I think those don't have colorations. And that's what we've been able to do with this program. And this is really what is also been one of the cardinal success of this program, learning from the failings of past programs and past interventions. So I think that's really, so your interview, you know, speaks for itself.
Let me take you on one more question here, that connects the issue of monthly payment of 5,000 naira to the extreme poor. How is that being monitored? And you said about 1 million Nigerians are going to get this. Is it just after the 1 million, what next? Are you including the next million of Nigerians to get this 5,000, you know, direct payment?
Thank you very much. I will answer this question in two ways. One is the fact that, as you also know, there is no resource that is unending. At every point in time, we must straddle with maximizing resources, limited resources, as economics will tell us. So we needed to have a target, and our target first was 1 million in the lifetime of this administration. As you've already recorded, we have for CCT, the conditional cash transfer, we have a target of about 300,000 beneficiaries are on right now in the 20 states where they're on. As we ramp up across the remaining 17 states, it's safe to assume that you would almost have another 300,000, and then we're getting closer to our target. So resource constraint is a key issue in terms of how fast we ramp up. But yes, your second answer is, let's also, the other point is, it's a conditional cash transfer. And so what we look at is, how do we use these cash transfers to improve the livelihood of the beneficiaries such that it can take them out of poverty. That's a condition that is attached to it. So part of the things we look at is, how do we use this investment to promote the enrollment of their children in schools? How do we use this investment to educate them around savings culture? How do we use this investment, you know, to promote maternity health delivery and vaccinations, which helps to reduce our mortality rate? How do we use these investments that we give them, you know, to also improve their, educate them and improve their farming cooperatives? Now, all of these are designed to graduate them out of poverty, such that, yes, to then answer your question, after the first 1 million, what happens? Yes, there would be, another 1 million, but hopefully you're also exiting some of this existing 1 million, giving room for more people to come in, and then you can also graduate the target. I guess once we evaluate how well we have done with the first target, then of course you review again, and you can either increase your target as you go along. Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed for your explanations there. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Job Creation and Youth Empowerment, Afolabi Imoukhuede. Thank you once again for being part of our show tonight.
Much.
You're still on Weekend File. We'll take a break. I will be back very shortly.